Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Natquascape. So in last week's video, I spoke to you about how I got into fish keeping and aquascaping and that kind of prelude to the YouTube channel. Today's video, I'm going to talk to you about why I aquascape and how aquascaping has actually helped me to potentially come up with new drugs to cure cancer and other diseases. If you're new to the channel, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content to do with reviews, unboxings of products that are related to aquascaping and the planted aquarium. Also in my channel, you're going to get step-by-step guides and tutorials on how I set up low, medium and high-tech planted aquarium. So stay tuned. Hi guys, so I'm going to talk to you today about why I aquascape. I have various hobbies. I like to play music, a little bit of guitar, bass, and I like to keep fish. More so, I like to keep planted aquariums. So the fundamental reason why I scape is the actual process of creating a composition and a hardscape and then planting that composition allows me to organize my thoughts. It could be thoughts about my work. It could be thoughts about relationships, and that's not just, with your partner, but it could be with your siblings or your parents or someone a work colleague. But it really helps me to organize my thoughts when it comes to coming up with creative ideas to cure various diseases. So I work as an organic chemist. I'm a medicinal chemist, and my head is running at 100 miles an hour most of the time. I'll be doing one thing, another idea pops into my head, and another idea pops into my head. Oh, I can make that molecule, or I could modify that molecule in such a way so that it can stop the metabolism of this and stop it being metabolized in a certain way. And yeah, I just have all these thoughts that just pop up to my head on creating future drugs and future molecules. And trying to organize those thoughts can be quite difficult when your job requires you to teach a lot, when you have a busy life at home, when you're trying to be, a good husband and a good father and a good son and a whatever, etc., etc. So when I'm down in the studio, I normally come about 10 o'clock at night. That's when, my wife's probably gone to bed and my daughter's obviously in bed from like 7, 8 o'clock. I eat, try and spend a little bit of time with my wife and stuff. And then if need be, I'll come down to the studio or into the studio, which is just my garage. And I will come up with a composition, or I'll think about creating some content. Just something creative. I even sometimes play a little bit of guitar. I'm not very good, by the way. So aquascaping helps organize my thoughts. Now there's, I didn't really think about this as much until I thought about making this video. And every time I've come up with an idea that has resulted in me getting funding to do the research, I've been either maintaining or creating one of my aquascapes. And it just occurred to me that, yeah, aquascaping does, in part, make my world go round. So here are some papers. I'm just going to put some titles of where I've published. And if it wasn't for aquascaping and playing guitar, I wouldn't have come up with those ideas. I wouldn't have been able to organize my thoughts on paper or in my mind. in a rational manner. It would have been just a bit of a more chaotic process, and therefore a longer process. So the molecules that I've created, they stop the proliferation of colorectal and prostate cancer cells. They can increase enhanced insulin-stimulated glucose uptake. All of this might or might not mean anything to you, but they're, the molecules that are created can be used as really good tools at the moment to find out why certain cancers happen and why certain metabolic diseases occur. If we can understand those fundamental mechanisms, then we can start optimizing these leads into drug-like molecules and hopefully get some new drugs into the pipeline and into the clinic as well. So one example is when I've had to create a molecules and actually come up with a way to test molecules against a series of prostate cancer cells. Now, I'm fundamentally a organic chemist, but being a chemist, you can also do a lot of biology using the fundamental principles. And I remember coming up with some ideas on how to really evaluate these molecules at the biochemical and cellular level whilst I was scaping. So again, every time I've aquascaped and had some thoughts that needed organizing in my mind, scaping or maintaining one of my aquariums has really helped me have that almost eureka moment. And so that's how aquascaping really helps me. So for instance, I came up with the ideas of these molecules, which are published in the world's leading journal of medicinal chemistry, whilst I was maintaining and kind of rescaping one of my aquariums. It was the 3-foot aquarium that I kind of briefly spoke about in last week's video. Another example of when I've come up with a test to test molecules in a more rapid way, is when I was aquascaping, So I had the problem of coming up or designing a molecule that will help us test other molecules in a more rapid fashion. I came up with the idea while scaping. I wanted to try and come up with a way to test a series of molecules in prostate cancer cells. I came up with those ideas whilst aquascaping. So, yeah, aquascaping really fundamentally helps me to potentially come up with the cure for colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, and maybe type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So more recently, I was creating Natquascape number 2. And if you've not seen a video of that, check this video out here. That scape has actually come down. I've done another scape, which I'll do another video on in the future, in about 2-3 weeks. Whilst I was scaping that tank, I actually came up with an idea based on some stuff that I was looking at on how to target the replication of SARS-CoV-2. This is the virus that is causing COVID-19. So I came up with an idea while scaping. I managed to organize my thoughts clearly while scaping, whilst planting the aquarium. So next thing I did is, obviously we're in lockdown, but I managed to get special permission to go to the lab and weigh out the compounds that I have and send them to America. And actually, we're getting some decent preliminary results. More experiments need to be done, but the initial results look promising, and therefore I think my hypothesis towards having a tool compound that could stop the replication of the virus may hold true. I might be getting somewhere with that. There's a long way to go with that research, a long way. But if we can produce some preliminary data and maybe get more funding so we can really look at this properly, that might be a step in the right direction. What helped me come up with those ideas? When did I come up with those ideas? Whilst aquascaping. So yeah, as a scientist, or no matter what kind of career you're in, having a hobby or having something that allows you just to be in a mindset where you can just organize a load of thoughts that you have. If you're not the type of person who, you know, has a lot of thoughts and has lots of stuff popping in the head, don't worry. You know, you may not need a hobby. Maybe you do aquascaping or whatever hobby you do for a completely different reason. But for me personally, this hobby helps me create molecules that might cure certain types of cancers and other respiratory and metabolic diseases. I really want to try and take a lot of the science behind plant growth and planted aquariums and the ecology behind that, and really break it down to you in a very basic and comprehensive but yet easy to understand way, so that you can really think about the science behind your aquariums at the fundamental level, so that you can create really beautiful, aesthetically pleasing and healthy aquascapes. Healthy for your plants, but also healthy for your fish. So the more subscribers I get for the channel, the more the channel will grow, the more I will be creating new scapes, and the more chances there are of me coming up with new, fresh ideas, or actually modifying existing ideas, or just organizing my ideas, so that you never know, one day I could create something that has the potential to cure cancer, diabetes, or any other type of disease that I'm working towards. Thank you for watching today's video. If you want to support the channel and help me grow, help me with my research as well, then please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on vital content. And I will see you in the next video. Ta-ra.